So I have been reading some bangers lately, and I've been dying to talk to y'all about it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Chocolate Covered Pages. I'm Kiona. If this is your first time coming across one of my videos, I know that I said that I was gonna do some wrap-ups, but y'all, it has been a struggle, okay? I was reading some books in February and March. I wasn't reading too much. I was reading between like 5 to 7 books a month. And, you know, some of it I just didn't even really feel like talking about. Like, honestly, some of it wasn't even worth mentioning to y'all. But then there was some that just blew me away, honestly. So, the way I feel is that I don't want to waste time with the negativity. I want to talk about the books that were keeping me up at night because I could not stop thinking about them, and this entire year I just kept feeling like I just need to get, like, I missed the books where I close it and I'm constantly thinking about it. You know, I'm thinking about the characters, I'm thinking about the themes in the book and how they make me feel. So those are the books I have collected to put into this video and package to you guys because I want y'all to read these books as well. And if you have already read some of these, please drop down in the comments and let me know, like, are you feeling how I'm feeling? Like, let's talk about it, please. Okay, the first book that blew me away, let me tell you, me and this author, I was starting to wonder if me and this author was ever going to, you know, mesh together. I was starting to think that maybe me and this author was not ever gonna see eye to eye, you know. But this is, she's talking my language. Without further ado, Dawn by Octavia E. Butler. I have read a few other books by Octavia E. Butler, that being Parable of the Sower, and I read Fledgling. Like, Parable of the Sower, don't get me wrong, is so very well written, but it wasn't keeping my attention. Like, I wasn't feeling like, oh, I need to keep reading this book. Like, I was not feeling like that. Fledgling was just weird. Okay, it was some stuff happening in Fledgling that I was just like, I'm not fooling with this, right? Dawn is that girl. Well, the main character is Lilith, but I loved this book. I loved this book so much. This book felt like I was watching a TV series. In fact, I'm going to tell you the exact TV series that I think probably, you know, is a ripoff from this book. That's what I think. I think somebody read this book and then they said, oh, you know what's a good idea? Let's make this TV show. The 100. If you've ever watched that show called The 100, where the people are on the ship and they finally go back to Earth and it is complete mayhem, it reminded me of this book. Okay, so Dawn, right? First of all, these re-release covers are phenomenal. That's what made me pick it up in the first place, because I am all about the covers. I love the colors in this book, and I was just thinking, like, I could come up with a really cute outfit to go with this book. Now, let me check out what's inside the book. And when I tell you, I started this book and I could not stop. I could not stop reading it. This book is about a woman named Lilith, and Lilith discovers that she is on a ship. She discovers that she is on a ship, and the ship is being run by these aliens, which we're calling Ankali. That's what they're called in the book. But, you know, they're aliens. right? And there's an entire world that Octavia E. Butler has created on this ship. I mean, the language, the fact that the ship itself is alive, and that when Lilith eats human things, she has to bury it in the ship. Like, it is like, I know y'all like, what is this book about? Okay, so in the book, right? In the book, the humans have messed up everything, as per usual, right? That is how these things typically take place. You know, the humans messing around with stuff in nature, and then kaboom, you know, a lot of people have died, and the Onkali have gone onto the earth, and they pulled out the humans that they could find, like able-bodied humans. They pulled them out, and then they have put them in like these capsules to put them asleep. And they have some people asleep, and then they have some people awake, where they are testing them, and you know, testing them to learn about humans, and studying them, observing them. Lilith wakes up in a room, and she is just like, you know, because they keep waking her up, observing her, trying to, you know, see what she's gonna do, and just testing things out, using her as a guinea pig, and she doesn't know what is going on. And honestly, I really don't want to tell you too much after that, because I just feel like this book is best read completely blind for the most part. I'm gonna be honest. I am not a big science fiction girl. And because it was Octavia E. Butler, it was a new series that she had started, I just felt like I wanted to try it out. I said, let me just try. You know, I never say never to a genre, okay? I never say never, which is how I end up reading all these different genres, because they be hitting, you know? So I'm just so glad that I picked this up. And I honestly, like, so much happens in this book. Like, there's alien sex. There is alien sex. Like an alien threesome. What? You can't, like, you seriously came up with that. Like, that is so cool. Like, who would have thought it, you know? I was just like, what am I reading right now? I like it, but what am I reading? Like, oh my gosh. And, you know, once humans come into play in this novel, it gets wild for the night. Okay? It was already, like, interesting with the aliens, but child, humans know how to do some things. Like, human nature. Like, there is so many things discussed in this book. You know, sexuality. I mean, first of all, what really had me, like, going is the fact that this book was literally published in 1987. That is the year I was born. That's the year I was born. And I was just like, what the hell was I doing from 1987 to now that I never thought to pick this book up? And mind you, I have had, I'm not going to pull it out now because it's way behind me. I have had Lilith's Brood for a long time. Lilith's Brood is the entire bind up version of Dawn, the second book which is called Adulthood Rights, and the third book which is called Imago. That's a bind up, and I've had Lilith's Brood for years. I came across it in a bookstore for $1, okay, and never thought to pick it up. And so then when they came out with the new covers, I got each book, and I'm telling you, all of them, the covers are fire. All of them. And I've already started Adulthood Rights. Like, it's just, I'm just so highly impressed by this book, honestly. Like, I'm just I don't even have the words. Like, I'm honestly highly impressed by this, and wow, floored, and this makes me, I'm happy that I can say that I have an Octavia E. Butler book that I really enjoy, and hopefully a series that I enjoy, when I continue to read through the series. So I definitely will be reading through the rest of the series because I want to know what's going to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about an urban fiction that I finished that I really enjoyed this year, and that's going to be Product of the Street by E. Bowser. And shout out to my girl Isita for the recommendation. I will link her Instagram page below because she definitely hit me up with a DM like, girl, you need to read this series. And listen, when folks give me recommendations personally, I definitely raise it much higher on my list. I had seen this book around, but I didn't know what it was about. But once she gave it her stamp, I said, okay, I'm going to check it out. And she did not lie. This first book in the series was really good. Now, let me tell you, like, one of the things that I really enjoyed about this book was that it was very unique. We're talking about a group of gangsters, right? A group of guys that, you don't want to play around with, right? I think their group is called UGK. No, UCK, Union City Kings, yes. These men are not just your average run-of-the-mill kingpin, blah, 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 blah. They are all living double lives, okay? Like, one of them, the head guy, during the day, he is a doctor. Like, he is a full-on doctor. And he be in there performing surgery. But the funny thing is, he's performing surgery in the hospital. But then if you cross him, he's going to perform surgery on you. Right. Like, he going to test some things out, He going to do a little experiment on you. And I found that to be so funny. Like, really interesting, because I was just like, okay, now this is different. I like reading urban fiction stories where it's just a different dynamic. I haven't read a book like this before. I'm always trying to find, like, okay, so what's different about this? Because we can't be reading the same kind of stories over and over, because it just gets a little redundant when it's just, changing of the characters. Like, give us something. So I am happy that, the guys in this story, they are really, like, doing things. They are doing things. When he leaves from the hospital, he put his grills in. Like, he is dressed differently. And these guys really have money. And, they're not pushing crack and heroin. And they're not pushing those types of drugs. They are pushing drugs that we can't easily get for people that are actually sick. Like, drugs that, the big companies are trying to hold on to and, up the price on poor people. They are actually doing some good in the world. This book was a very different experience for me. This book also has a lot of kink, like voyeurism, exhibitionism. I mean, all the isms, okay? And That was interesting for me. Cause it usually, like, I read books and it'll like touch on the king, you know, get a little dip a toe in. Like, this one was like all the way, like all the way in there. Like, if you're into that type of stuff, you'll be living life, okay, with this one. So yeah, so needless to say, I very much enjoyed that one. I know that was a fairly vague explanation on what that book is about, but you know, it's things happening. It's things happening. Go into that one blind as well. So the next book is gonna be a romance, y'all, and this one is This Time Around by Kay Shani. And first of all, I want to thank Kay Shani for reaching out to me to offer a copy of this book. I really enjoyed this one, and it has nothing to do with the fact that she sent it to me, because people send me books all the time. I really enjoyed this one. This book is, I don't know if I would consider this book to be a second chance romance. I think so. But basically, we meet Dr. Tessa and we meet Dr. Cypress. Now, they are both professors, but at the beginning of the book, we see them not as professors. We see them at think Freaknik, basically. They're in college, and you know, somehow they end up in the same state, and they at a little, you know, at a function, and you know, one thing led to another. There's a one night stand, and Dr. Tessa finds out that she is pregnant, but she doesn't really. She never got his name. She never gave him her name, and it is insane. You know, she has this baby, and the only thing she knew was that he was being called Cy. She didn't know it was Cypress. So it was just Cy. And then when she has her child, she names the daughter Syra, right? And, you know, fast forward, and somehow Dr. Tessa and Dr. Cypress end up in the same state. Yes, needless to say, obviously they connect, and Cypress does not remember Tessa, but Tessa absolutely remembers Cypress. And the book pretty much kicks off from there, because Tessa is trying to find the right time to tell her daughter, for one, that this man is her father, because over the years the daughter has had questions about the father. But you know, the mom, I like that she was honest in letting her know that, listen, it was a one night stand. I don't know this man. I do not know this man, and I'm sorry. But I just found this story to be so sweet, and I just was reading it and I was just smiling. It's funny. It's heartwarming. Like, first of all, y'all know that I typically love me a thuggish type of man character, right? But Cypress, Dr. Cypress, he was just giving grown man doctorate, you know, like the professor. Like, he was giving sexy professor, but just like, when I take off these glasses, don't play with me. Like, I become somebody you don't want to see me mad. Like, he was giving off that, and I found that to be really hot. It was really hot. It was sweet. And once again, Kay Shani has hit it out the park for me. I just really enjoy the way she crafts a romance. And also, too, what I loved about it is that this was a older romance. You know, a lot of these romance books are like, you know, they're young. These folks was older. They knew what they wanted. And, you know, it just hit different when they older. You know, you're not going to get some of the hamming and back and forth and the should I, shouldn't I don't know, I kind of like him, I don't know if I really should be with him, and blah, 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 blah. No. Like, I love it when my characters know what they want. They might have some obstacles now, but you know, Cypress was not playing around. He knew exactly that he wanted Dr. Tessa. He knew, but she was holding that secret from him. You know, so that's the interesting part, is that, you know, that right there is the secret that was in between them, the secret that she was holding from the daughter and Dr. Cypress, that there's a whole daughter right there. If you don't remember, the first Keishani book I read was Conflicted Hearts, and I absolutely loved that one as well. But this book was actually her first book traditionally published. So I really wanted to make sure that I read it and of course tell you guys about it. If you want a sweet love story, you have to pick that one up. Okay, another book that I want to talk about. Now this book I did include in the Black Classics video, and that's going to be The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee. Freaking phenomenal. Okay, phenomenal. The audiobook was, I mean, Dion Graham just did what Dion Graham does. Like, I loved it. I just loved it. And now, when I finished reading this book, I fully understood why Nipsey Hussle was talking about this book, why he recommended this book. Because when you read this book, especially as a black person, when you read this book, it feels like someone lights a fire underneath you. Okay? That's what it feels like. So let me tell you what this book is about. So this book is about a man who infiltrates the CIA. He infiltrates the CIA just so he can get, you know, extra information, extra intel, see how they're doing stuff, so that he can go out to the gangs in the community and basically train them. He has gone out to the gangs who were fighting each other to create some kind of peace and train them and say, listen, what you angry about with each other? This is what they want. This is what they want. They want y'all killing each other. What we need to do is get together, learn the stuff that they're doing, so that we can be better at it than them, and then we can be free. We can dismantle this entire operation that they got going on here if we stick together and you do everything that I tell you to do. And this man created soldiers. Like, it's just, it's mind-blowing. Like, honestly, like, I don't know how else to describe this book other than first of all, I need to order some copies, because I want it in my library. I want it sitting here so that when I come across random black men, specifically because I was just thinking about black men when I was reading it, I want to just give it to them. I want to give it to them like, here you go. Here you go. Hi, I'm Kiana. Here you go. Like, it's just that good. It's just that interesting. I love the way it is written. It's written very accessibly. And it just drops gems. Like, it just drops gems on you the entire time. You know, the things that this man is saying. Like, he was living a double life in order to make this happen. You know? Like, the sacrifices that he was making. His whole thing was to become kind of what they would assume him to be. You know? How he would dress. How he would talk. His mannerisms. Everything. What drinks he would drink. What kind of alcohol would he drink. Right? And he made this entire persona to get in there and fly right underneath the radar and get what he needed to get. Okay, cool. Now we're ready. You know, like, This man was smart. He was so smart, and he was just always thinking ahead. Y'all, that book is really good. Every book that I've mentioned so far has just been really good. I'm just so happy that the Black classics have been coming through, okay? They have been destroying the new fiction that I've been reading. It's almost like, you know, when you listen to a old song from back in the day. I love old music. I love like old soul music. You know, the Whispers, the Stylistics, Luther Vandross. Like, I love old music because I feel it in my stomach when I hear that music. I don't care how many times I hear the songs, but it hits differently. And I feel like when now that I'm really being intentional about reading super old Black classics, they are hitting differently. Like, it's something else in those pages that are missing from the pages now, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure why. I don't have the answer to that. But it's just something that I've noticed as a reader. As I'm reading, you know, old books and new books constantly, like, I'm feeling a type of way. Like, it's something in the source that's missing, you know? Now, half the time, we don't know if the book is actually for us or not. And we know it's marketed to us, but then when you read it, you like, oh, hold on now. Hold on. It's doing a little bit too much explaining, you know? And I'm finding that, like, books from back in the day, they weren't doing that shit. Like, they were not doing that. It was like, you get it, you got it, good. Okay? Like, this is for, I'm writing this with these people in mind. And if anybody else wants to pick it up, cool. You know, some of the books that are coming out now that are marketed towards Black readers are, you know, a little white gazy. There, I've said it. So, yeah. I'm noticing a difference. And if you are also noticing a difference, drop down in the comments and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What is missing from the source in today's fiction? Because I'm loving over here in the Black classics. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And that brings me to the next book that I want to talk about, that is probably going to end up being my favorite book of the year, perhaps. I don't know. I don't want to speak too hard on it, but yeah, I don't see what I could read that could top this book, honestly. Like, I don't. You know, I might be eating my words at some point, but I don't see how anything can top this book. And that's gonna be The Street by Ann Petrie. Y'all, if you have not read this book, I highly implore you to do so, especially if you are a Black woman. The things in this book, the way this book is written, I honestly don't know. I feel like I've been changed. Like, I feel like I have been changed after reading this book. Like, what have I been reading this entire time? The way this book is written is like soul stirring, is how I would describe it. For me, anyway, for me. I've never read a book that, like, I just wanted more. Just put the words in my mouth. I just want to keep reading her words. Like, this is like, is this what reading is really supposed to be? Because I have been doing it wrong this entire time, okay? This woman could freaking write. Like, she can freaking write. And I knew from the first few pages she could write, it's because the first few pages is about some damn blowing wind. It's about the wind blowing in Harlem. And I was reading it and I was just like, yes. What else about the wind? Like, tell me what else? Like, what else do you need to tell me about the wind? I want to know more about this wind. Keep telling me about the wind. It was just the way she describes things, the way she puts the words together. That is an art. Like, who is doing this? Who is doing this now? Show me, because this is different. Like this is another level of writing. It's ruined me. Honestly, like it has ruined me, because certain books that I have been picking up lately, I'm just like, okay, like I'm not, it's nothing wrong with the book. The writing is just not, it's not taking me there. Like, this book has taken me. This book has taken me to a different place. I don't know how I can read certain books the same. I really just don't. I foresee a lot of DNFs in my future. Like, a lot of DNFs. What can I say? This book is about a woman named Ludi Johnson who becomes a single mother. She becomes a single mother. She just has her son, and she ends up moving in this apartment building in Harlem. And when she moves into this apartment building in Harlem, you know, there's some characters that live in this building that make things, you know, harder for her. She's already had many hard things happen in her life. You know, this book is sad. You know, this book talks about so much, and about being a woman, a black woman, the pills that we have to swallow on a regular basis, the danger that we are constantly finding ourselves in, and trying to figure out, okay, what are my options here? What can I do? This is a bad situation. What can I do to possibly get out of this? This could end up really bad for me. You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? The things that, like, I was getting chills by, like, in certain parts of this book. I was getting chills from reading certain parts in this book, because it was real shit. Like, it was real. Okay? This book was written in the 1940s. When I closed the book, my mouth was wide open, because I just kept saying, this book was written in, I think, 1946. This book was written in the 1940s. And everything in this book could pretty much apply to today. Like, everything. And it is saddening. It is. Men are something else. Men can be something else. And it just talks about doing what you have to do as a black woman, and how that sometimes can have blowback. That can have consequences. You know, as a black woman, sometimes we find ourselves between a rock and a hard place. And it's like, okay, well, if I do A, then B can probably happen. But I have to do A. I don't have a choice. I'm trying not to get into specifics here. If you have read this book, please let me know. I would love to discuss this with somebody, because I just feel, you know that song, I Know I've Been Changed? I know I have been changed by this book. Like, I know that I have. I can't read books the same. I cannot. And I have her other book, The Narrows, on my Kindle. It is downloaded, and honestly, I have been trying to not read it. I've been trying not to read it because I know that once I read it, I'm not gonna want to read anything else. I'm going to be sucked in once again, because you don't write a book like this and then write something that's not as good or better after that. Like, you just don't. So I already know that's probably gonna be another 5-star for me, and I kind of want to save it, because Ann Petrie didn't write that many books, and I just want to savor them. I really do. Like, I want to wait till I've been reading some bad stuff and I just need something, and I know it's gonna hit for me. Like, I just know it's going to hit for me. But anyway, y'all, I could literally talk about this book for a long time, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna stop it there. That is probably not gonna be the last time you hear me talk about that book, because there are many things to pull out of that book and talk about, but I just wanted to bring it up to make sure y'all know this book is amazing. And I don't use that word that often. Amazing. Okay, so we have come to the end of this video. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I have been owing y'all a video like this for some time now, so I hope that this was okay, instead of me doing the wrap-ups where I gotta talk about things that I don't really like. So hopefully, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye.